Shema Yashar Allah Yahweh Allah Yahweh Yahweh Achad Shema Yashar Allah Yahweh Allah Yahweh Achad Shema Yashar Allah Yahweh Allah Yahweh Achad Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahweh Shai, Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahweh Shai, Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahweh Shai, Ahashar Chakodash. I want to give double honors to our elder apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone who rule well, as well as peace and blessings, health and wellness to the house of David the elect. I was a high spirit, we and Levi, but today I want to go into a topic entitled The Great Ass Whooping. The Great Ass Whooping. All right, and the reason why I want to go into this topic, all right, in reference to Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, it goes into the stipulations of the covenant. All right, the stipulations of the covenant and the consequences if you don't keep the covenant. All right, because ultimately the covenant is a contract. So the first 14 to 15 verses, it goes into the blessings if you adhere to the covenant. All right, but from say the 16th verse to the 68th verse goes into the punishments if you don't keep the covenant. All right, and ultimately the punishments far exceed the blessings in the sense of the number of punishments, the number of consequences for not keeping the contract. All right, and ultimately when you read it from the 15th, 16th verse all the way to the 68th verse, it's really a grand ass whooping. All right, that starts in 70 AD with the sacking of Jerusalem that was prophesied by Yahweh Shai when he says to flee into the mountains. And this is where those sideburns, all right, those small heads, they make movies about what's they call the Masala, and them fleeing into the mountains and hiding into the mountains. But really, there was Jake, all right, fleeing into Africa, because another word for the mountains is the wilderness, and they were going into the land of Ham. All right, so from 70 AD was the beginning of the great ass whooping. All right, it's likened to the Most High beating this woman from one room to another one, just backslapping or disciplining her, or beating his son from one room to the next after warning after warning after warning. For example, the book of Judges was really warning after warning after warning, because we would rebel. The Most High send a nation to put us in captivity that would make us humble. We'll repent. He'll send a judge, a deliverer, all right, and we'll be obedient for a short period of time. Then the next generation will arise and we'll rebel, and Most High send a nation to enslave us, and that'll make us turn to him. We'll call upon his name, and then he'll send the judge and he'll deliver us. But after a while, the Most High said, F it. And that great ass whooping to start in 70 AD, all right, it took effect in around 70 AD, all right, starting with the sacking of Jerusalem, okay, all right, to around now, ultimately. I mean, it even tells you in Daniel, the 9th chapter, that the curse of Moses is in effect, and that was during the Babylonian Empire, man. You know, so really we got plucked out of our land, all right, which is a punishment. We got plucked out of our land, all right. Or we got, what's the word? The diaspora ultimately started during the time of Daniel, all right, when the Babylonians took over Jerusalem, all right, when they came into power, all right. And prior to that, the northern kingdom, all right, were taken over by the Assyrians. And America today, all right, but we still had residency in Jerusalem, okay, the southern kingdom, okay. And, you know, like I said, going back to the sacking of Jerusalem, and we really being plucked out of the land 70 AD, all right, that great diaspora, all right? All right, we've been kicked out of the land, and from 70 AD, all right, to slavery, to Jim Crow, all right, towards her tribal husband, all right. Eve has an evil eye towards us through something called feminism. That's why he has something called child support. I think it said she even have an evil eye towards the fruit of her womb. But Eve, the so-called black woman, has the highest abortion rate, man. All right? You have to have an evil eye towards your fruit, all right, to be able to abort it like that, man. All right? It names several times that he'll curse us with diseases, all right? Plagues from Egypt. And it tells you he'll curse you in the knees and on down, man. And Jake has gout, which affects his ankles and, you know, his lower leg area, all right, his foot, all right. Jake has arthritis in his knees, you know. Jake has STDs and HIV and all these things, which are really curses. Another plague the Most High curses with is crack, heroin, okay? It's really a plague, man. It shows you that there was a plague in the movie American Gangster. In the beginning of the movie, they showed when heroin took over the city. It was very similar, all right, to somebody being cursed with like a plague, like a black plague, man, like a pestilence. So a pestilence can also be a drug, the way it consumes you. You know, turns you to a fiend. So just like a pestilence can take over a village, and the parent can be dead and the children can be sitting there crying because their caretaker is strong, you know, basically dying or dead. All right, they showed you in the movie American Gangster that the parents are basically strung out and the babies were just there crying. Another form of it being a pestilence, that needle hit you, right? You might get an infection. You hit yourself with that needle, you get an infection. Now your hand and your arm is swollen. It's a pestilence, man. And ultimately, this is a great ass whooping, man. This is a 2,000-year ass whooping, man. Because ultimately, it comes from prior to the Most High having mercy on us. He sent the prophets. He chastising us little by little through small captivities, 70-year captivities, to make us repent. You know, to make us repent. You know. But then the ultimate ass whooping is Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, the 6th, well, the 28th chapter, 15 on down. All right, you can read it yourself. Because in some parts of the punishment, you're not gonna really understand the gravity of it unless you understand the context of what we had in Jerusalem before we had enemies, before we were under other people. In Jerusalem, you had strangers that were within us. So in the land of Jerusalem, all right, all right, you would have heathen living amongst us that would be slaves, all right? They would live amongst us as slaves or, you know, whatever. But we was in a position where they had to borrow from us. They were indebted to us, you know. We could extract usury from them. So that's why I said the stranger that is within thee. But then it goes on to say the stranger that is within thee will get above thee very high. So instead of we being the banks to the heathen, guess what? They are the banks to us. All right, most banks are owned by the elite. All right? So part of your punishment is you've been a fucking debt slave, man. Part of your punishment is you've been a debt slave. So we're no longer in the physical, the thick of the punishment, which is the transatlantic slave trade, which is the desolation of the so-called Native Americans, Hispanic Americans. But now you're a debt slave. And for the Northern Kingdom who resides in these countries in Central and South America, guess what? Your country is enslaved to the bankers, to the International Monetary Fund. You can't, that's why it says you should build a house and another man shall live in it. You can't even extract the resources from those countries in Central and South America because the America, Canada, these different contracts, they have access to your resources. Great Britain has access to your resources. So that's not just the southern kingdom, that's the northern kingdom too. It's the great ass whooping, man. This is a great ass whooping. The fact that you niggas no longer have estates. So you're not gonna understand some of the curses unless you understand historical context. In the ancient, it tells you in Proverbs, riches and land is from fathers. So your fathers will pass down an inheritance to the son. You didn't have to work no 20, 30 years for some fucking plant, man. And then retire with a broke back and a broke body. Your body is a vehicle that has been broken down, all right? And now you're finna get some retirement money. And they got this situated to where statistically, you're not gonna live that long after the retirement money because they've already used the thick of you, the fatness of your youth, okay? But going back to these punishments, man, these curses, all right? You have to understand, you inherited land and resources from your father. You had an estate. The average Israelite had an estate. So either you inherited from your father or you work as an indentured servant for what, 6 years? That's why it tells you, and I believe it's Deuteronomy or Exodus, I can't remember at this point, but it tells you about the woman that's sold as your daughter serves, you selling your daughter as a maid servant. It says she shall not go out as the men servants do, because after 6 years, the men servants are released. All right. So even when we put our sons under indentured servitude, all right, it was so he can acquire wealth. So he goes into the indentured servitude at 12, come out at 19, 7 years later with wealth. So either way, we had systems where an Israelite will be established as an adult, not being 60 years old with a motorcycle but nothing to pass down, all right, to your sons, man. All right. So part of the great ass whooping in the 21st century is that you are subject to debt, man. And the average Israelite has nothing to pass down to his sons and daughter. Hey, the water, brother. Exodus 21:7, man. You know? And I read that in the NLT, the New Living Translation. Like I said, it says your daughter should not go out as the men servants do. And basically it goes into she should not be released as the men servants, because the men servants, if they're Hebrew, after 6 years they are released because they got the bag now. All right, but the daughter servant, that's your wife, that's your sex slave, handmaid's tale. She's like, if you say your daughter's a slave, that's your it's a maid that you can have children by, you know. But it goes into it. You could give her to your son. If you don't deal with her, you can give her to your son, you know. But the point was, she's actually your property as opposed to the Hebrew men who are just indentured servants for 6 years. That's where they get the construct in America of Edomites being indentured servants during slavery. Which a lot of them were not Edomites. They were like Irish, Italian, especially Irish. So really they're Israelite foreigners. All right? They got their system from the Jews. All right, the Hebrew, man, the Hebrew world, man. Because we got the best system on earth, man. All right, because the law is really systems of a royal civilization, noble civilization. Okay? But the point is, man, all right, this is a great punishment. All right, it said, "Cursed be thy basket and thy store." And we all know that the Israelite man starting a business has a high failure rate. So-called black business is a high failure rate, man. I've seen it myself and with my own eyes. Businesses that was across the street from Count, I've seen that business open and I've seen those businesses close. Establishments that I would go to, I hear about them being open and I go to them, next thing you know, they're closed. Yep. She should not be freed as the men servants. But that's to give context, all right? We were not we only worked as servants or employees for 6 years. All right, on the 7th year, you're free. You got the bag now. So either your dad passed down wealth to you or you establish something for yourself. All right, as a young man. So by the time you're 19, you have land. You're not supposed to work all your life to pay for an apartment, fam. All right, you're not supposed to work all your life to pay on a mortgage, man. That's why it tells you in Sirach 21:8 or 7. Men who build their houses with other men's money. Now we all do that now, and we didn't even build the house. We rent a loan. We get a loan to live in the house that's already built, but it's not our house. And the curses are so messed up. The jakes that do own houses, a lot of them, they own the houses in the hood. So it might be an older Jake that does own a house. It's like 50, 60 years old. They do own the house, but it's in a high crime rated hood. You know? Another thing that's a part of the curses, and it's more prevalent in the South, is Jake got that evil eye. Jake don't want to see you with more than them. Jake don't want to see you have nothing, man. You know, you really can't tell Jake your goals and stuff because Jake don't want to see you have nothing. It's like a petty curse, man. Like, why are you mad about that? You know? You know, Jake, that crab in the bucket, that saying Jake is a crab in the bucket, that's rooted in the curses, man. That's part of that evil eye. You know? Jake resents you. Jake might not have a job. Jake might be broke. Jake, you know, Jake seeing you leave the house with a decent car. Jake resents you is more than just breaking in your house. Jake be holding grudges, man. You got some type of order in your house, but he doesn't have that order, you know? He's more like an expendable to a woman, you know what I mean? Man, Jake hold a grudge against you. You know? But if you read the curses from Deuteronomy the 15th chapter all the way down to the 68th verse, it's really a 2,000-year ass whooping. It's a 2,000-year punishment, man. The great falling away was 70 AD. That we deserve because he told us ahead of time the stipulations of the contract. And furthermore, he had mercy. He showed mercy on us, sending prophets, sending kingdoms to punish us, but delivering us from those kingdoms over and over again. Because it tells you the nature of an Israelite in their affliction. They should seek me early. Jake will catch hell and start going to church. That's how you know these are Israelites, man. Jake go to his homie funeral and so-called give his life to JC. You know, that's how you know who Jake is, man. You know, but most I got tired of that shit, man. So he gave you over to that great ass whooping, and he told you aforetime what would happen if you disobeyed. He made that contract with you, man. All right, but now we're at the end of that great punishment. It tells you in Leviticus, the 4th chapter, around the 21st to 22nd verse, the punishment of thy iniquity is accomplished. He would no more carry us into captivity, roughly paraphrasing. All right, so we're at the end of our captivity. It tells you in 2nd Ezra 6 and 7, for Esau was the end of the world and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. We are at the beginning of the beginning of it that followeth. The release of our punishment, all right, and the beginning of our rulership, and the beginning of Esau's punishment for being the Most High's chastening rod, because the Most High used Esau Edom, this freak, man, this caveman, is a belt. Starting from 70 AD, the Romans, all right, to the Renaissance, all right, establishing himself as, all right, the British, all right, the Spaniards and the French. They all beat the ass of the 12 tribes. That's where you got certain tribes speaking Spanish, all right? You got tribes speaking English. You got tribes speaking French. You got the tribes in Africa, the Southern Kingdom speaking French, all right? You see? Because they're all rooted in Edom. They're all offsprings of Edom, all right? They branched off into different kingdoms that's all rooted in Esau Edom. All right. But 70 AD to now, man, that's a great ass whooping, man. All right, but with that, I do hope you brothers and sisters were edified. Once again, I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh Bahashem Yahushua Bahashem Rakakadash. I also want to give double honors to our elder apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and blessings, health and wellness to the house of David the elect. What's up?
No, you can't go.
I wish I could go. I wish I could go. Have a good day.
Take it easy.
All right, it's a lot, brother. All right. Hey, yeah, but I want to say double honors to our elder apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone rule well. Peace and blessings, health and wellness to the house of David the elect. Abba, come here, Shalom. I'm just gonna read some of these comments.